Hello, it's Alex, the Bookubus. Today I'm going to be sharing 23 books that I would like to read in 2023. I've seen a lot of people do these videos and I really enjoy watching other people's, so I figured I would do one too. But the main inspiration, other than just the general idea, was specifically Andrew from It Came From The Page. He shared one of these videos a little while ago, but he was specifically choosing books that had been on his shelves for a long time, and I was like, I need to do that too. If you aren't already subscribed to his channel, then I definitely recommend you go do so because he's wonderful. I will leave a link to his channel. And I'm pretty good at reading from my shelves, but I hadn't made a specific point to look at the books that I've had for quite some time. So I figured, yeah, I would have a look through, see which ones have been sitting there for some years and see if I can get to some this year. And this list of 23 isn't all books that fit into that category. Basically, I have 8 books that have been on my shelves for some time that I really want to get to. I have 5 books that I've chosen because they have very few ratings and reviews on Goodreads. I have 5 books that are big books, and then I have 5 books that are just books I wanted to read for no other reason. So I've got a good array here. Most of them are horror, most of them are vintage horror, but there are a few other things in there as well. But the main thing is I'm excited about all of them. I really do want to try and read them at some point this year, and I know this video is a bit late. We're already right at the end of January and I haven't read any of these yet, but you know, I've still got 11 months to do so, so I think it's totally doable. And I did actually make this list like a month ago, I'm just only getting around to filming it. So anyway, let's start off with the 8 books that I have had sitting on my shelves for a long time. These aren't 8 that I've had the longest, but I've definitely had all of these for at least a few years. And in fact, a couple of them I've had since 2017, apparently. So yeah, should probably get to them. So let's start off with The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. This is, I think, a supernatural type of story. I believe it's set during maybe World War II, and I haven't read any Sarah Waters before. I do generally hear good things about her work, but for some reason, even though I've been meaning to read this for a long time, I've just never actually gravitated towards picking it up. So I feel it's probably a now or never thing that I should do so this year, or just, you know, donate the book or something. Next up is Let the Old Dreams Die by John Avida Lindquist, who is probably most famous for writing Let the Right One In. I loved the book, loved the film. I've read a couple of his other novels as well, but years ago. I haven't read any of his work anytime recently, and I've had this one that I picked up at a library book sale for quite some time, so I figured I should probably make a point of getting to this. I have seen the film adaptation of the story Border, which is in this collection, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I look forward to finally picking this one up. So the other 6 in this section are more your paperbacks from hell type of goodness. We have 666 by Jay Anson, which has some really awesome, wow, glary step back art. And this is the same author who wrote the Amityville Horror, which was okay, I guess. Not the most well-written book I've ever read, which is probably why I've been hesitating in picking this one up. But it does sound fun, and it's called 666 and it's got a great cover, so I really should give it a go and see what it's all about. Next up is Tricycle by Russell Rhodes. Got to love this cover. It's absolutely brilliant. This, yeah, skull-faced boy on a tricycle. And this is another one I've been meaning to get to for ages. For whatever reason, haven't yet, but I really should. I think it's a creepy kid kind of story, so sounds good to me. Hobgoblin by John Coyne, another one that has pretty awesome step back art. And this one I believe was inspired by the whole Dungeons and Dragons, Satanic Panic. I think this came out in the wake of that. And yeah, this is one that I've kind of had on tentative TBRs in the past, but just I never have reached for it. So it's about time I finally do so. The Forgotten by Stephen R. George. This was published by Zebra, so you never quite know what you're gonna get, whether it could be completely terrible or it might be a hidden gem. This one is set in some supposedly very safe city, but I guess some creature that lives underground gets unleashed and yeah, craziness ensues, I hope. Thrill by Barbara Petty. Absolutely love this cover, even though this edition that I have is like super battered. But this one is about two women who meet a guy in a bar, and it sounds like they go on some kind of crazy bloodlust rampage. I don't know, it sounds wild. I don't know whether it actually is, but I'm excited to finally pick this one up because I've been, yeah, meaning to do so for a while, clearly. And last up for this section is Dream House by E. Patrick Murray. This lovely, like, super embossed cover. This one, I think, is about a character who has had nightmares about this particular house and then in reality ends up living there. So yeah, I don't know if it's a haunted house type of thing or what, but I do love this cover and it sounds intriguing. So yeah, it's time I give this one a go. Okay, the next 5 are some more paperbacks from hell type of books, and I had a look on Goodreads to pick some of the ones that I owned that don't have very many ratings or reviews. I thought it would be fun to, yeah, check these ones out and throw my thoughts out there. And yeah, I will say there is some crossover between these categories. Like some of these books I've had for ages, some of the books I've had for ages that I just mentioned also have few reviews. Anyway, it's fun to put things in groups, I guess. And here we are. So first up in this section is Crossbearers by Mark Brellan. This one has a whopping 1 rating and no reviews on Goodreads. This one sounds like it's got some kind of religious stuff going on. I'm not exactly sure in what way. So yeah, I'll read it and find out and I will report back. Next is The Reunion by L.V. Roper. Love this cover with someone stabbing someone's photo in a yearbook. Brilliant. This one has a whopping 2 ratings and no reviews. And this one sounds like a tale of revenge after a woman's child was killed. And yeah, she goes after the people responsible. So I'm always down for a revenge story. So hopefully this one will be a good one. And I'm also just really curious about this one because yeah, it seems kind of obscure. So we will see. Limbo by Jan Lara. I do really love this cover, even though I think that's meant to be a coffin, but I can't not see a laptop. It just looks like that's a laptop screen or something. Anyway, do love this cover, and I believe this one is about a woman haunted by her aborted child, which, you know, since this came out in the 80s, could be incredibly problematic. And I guess there's only one way to find out exactly what is going on between the covers of this book. So I am very intrigued to find out. And let's see, this one has 5 ratings and 1 review. Next up with 8 ratings and 1 review is Second Sight by Cecilia Bartholomew, quite the name, and I do love this creepy doll cover. And this is about a woman who loses her sight and creepy things happen. That's the gist I'm getting from this one. So yeah, I don't think the ratings and reviews that are on Goodreads are particularly positive, but I'm still curious about this one, so I'll give it a go. And last up for this section is Stone Dead by Ellen Jameson. This one has 16 whole reviews and 5 ratings. This is another Zebra publication, so always a treat, and it does have a creepy doll on the cover, so hopefully this will be a good one. This one, yeah, seems to be about an actual doll, and on the back it says, "Stick, stock, stone dead, kiss me goodnight and put me to bed. Stick, stock, stone dead, say it again and I'll chop off your head." Alright, moving on to the next section, we have 5 big books, and to me a big book is like 500 pages or more, and I'm usually a bit hesitant to pick up bigger books. I don't know why. I think it's just that time commitment, and you know, you don't want to be wasting your time on a book that doesn't end up being good. But I think I am getting a bit better with picking up bigger books, and last year, out of my top 9 favourite books of the year, 2 of them were actually big books. I think they were both like 600-700 pages long, so you know, pretty chunky. I do have a video of my favourites if you want to check that out if you haven't seen it already, so I'll leave a link to that. But yeah, I figured I would try and make a point of reading some of the bigger books on my shelves. And let's start off with Swan Song by Robert R. McCammon. This has been compared to The Stand by Stephen King, which I have read, and it was a very mixed bag for me. Like, some of it I thought was great, some of it just I didn't think was good. So it ended up being like a 3-star, you know, kind of just average read for me, which is not what you want after you put that much reading time into something. And this one is, I think, almost 1,000 pages long. It's definitely over 900. So I'm hoping this one will be a better experience for me than The Stand. And another reason I am picking this up is because it is the pick for Kelsey's book club in February over at Slime and Slashers. So go check out her channel and her Discord if you want to join in with that. I think, yeah, perfect opportunity to dive in and tackle this beast. Next is Son of the Endless Night by John Farris. This one has some pretty wonderful step back art there, and yeah, this is another one I've been meaning to pick up for ages and just haven't, so I really need to do so this year. This, I think, is, yeah, some kind of possession story, but I think it's also like a courtroom situation, so I'm not exactly sure, you know, what that means story-wise. Those are just 2 elements that I'm aware of. So yeah, I'm curious about this one. I've only read one other John Farris book, but I really enjoyed it. So hopefully I will enjoy this one too. Sacrament by Clive Barker. I really do need to read more of Clive Barker, and yeah, this is one that I've heard really great things about. So I had already been kind of eyeing this up for a while, and yeah, just figure that I really should pick this one up soon. I've forgotten exactly what this one is about, other than I think the main character is a wildlife photographer, and I don't necessarily think this one is horror, but yeah, I've just heard lots of good things about it, so looking forward to this one. Halcyon by Rio Ewers. This, I think, is more of a thriller, and I believe it's about a cult that lives on an island, so you know, they're quite remote and just have their own community. That's all I know about this one. This is another one I've had sitting on my shelf for ages, so yeah, really looking forward to getting to this. This will be the first I've read of this author too, and I've heard really great things about his work. And last up for the big books is The Crow Girl by Eric Axel Sund, which I believe is a pen name for 2 authors. And this is quite literally one of the worst covers I've ever seen. It's just so bland and generic, and like, I've seen this one, which is pretty amazing, like that's dark and intriguing, and then there's this, like, what were you thinking? Anyway, this is another one I've had for ages. I picked this up in a charity shop back in the UK when I visited a few years ago, and yeah, have been meaning to read it since. And all I remember about this one is that it's, I think, some kind of, you know, crime thriller, serial killer situation, and I've heard it's pretty disturbing as well, so count me in. And And last up are 5 books that didn't really fit in a category necessarily. They were just 5 books I want to read that I already have on my shelves. So we have Burning by Jane Chambers, and this says on the back it's a lesbian gothic suspense novel. So that's, yeah, count me in, sign me up. That's all I need to know. I've heard really good things about this one, and yeah, it sounds wonderful. So very much looking forward to picking it up. The Fisherman by John Langan. I've heard lots of great things about this one. Generally, mostly only good things. I think I've only heard like a couple of, you know, not so positive reviews on it, but I believe this is like a mixture of grief horror and cosmic horror. And yeah, again, it's just one I've been meaning to pick up for a while, so I really should finally do so. Next up is a bit of YA, Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. This is, I think, about a girl who is killed and her best friend brings her back to life through some kind of witchcraft ritual in order to find out exactly what happened. And on the back it says, if you mixed Hocus Pocus, Mean Girls and The Craft, this would be the bewitching result. So it sounds like a lot of fun, and again, yeah, it's one I've been meaning to pick up for ages. So I really should do so, and yeah, I think this one should be a fun read, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, just 2 more to go. Next up is The Killing Kind by Brian Smith. This is a leisure publication, or leisure, who also put out a lot of stuff by like Richard Lehman and Jack Ketchum, Edward Lee, Charlie Jacob, who I love. And yeah, for this one I'm actually going to read the Goodreads synopsis because it's different to what it says on the back of the book here and intrigues me a bit more than what it actually says on the book. But it says, the classic ultra splatter road trip in the spirit of Natural Born Killers and the Devil's Rejects. Roxy is the goth girl of your dreams. There's just one problem. She's batshit crazy and has a fetish for murder. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Devil's Rejects, but I do love Natural Born Killers, and this just sounds like, yeah, a wild ride. So really looking forward to picking this one up and seeing what it's like. And last but not least, something a little bit different is a non-fiction book, true crime. This is Raising Hell by Michael Newton, an encyclopedia of devil worship and satanic crime. So this sounds like it could be an interesting read. I'm aware of some of the cases that are covered here, but some of them I have never heard of. So yeah, I don't read a ton of true crime, but hopefully this will be an interesting read. Okay, and that is it. So those are my 23 books for 2023. Let me know if you've read any of these. Obviously no spoilers, of course, since I haven't read them myself yet. But yeah, this has been a fun exercise to, yeah, look at my shelves and pick certain books that jump out to me for one reason or another. And I feel like 23 books is manageable. Last year I read 96, so yeah, 23 books seems pretty doable, and it'll give me lots of room to read a bunch of other books too. So that's exciting. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Hope you have been having a good January, a good new year so far. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video.